before. A handful of you probably, yeah. So normally I've been doing a panel with, I'm Andy Holt, this is Julie Jenkins, and this is Joni Brosis. Joni is a new addition to our panel. We have had our panel before in previous years here at WonderCon and also at San Diego Comic-Con. And Joni is new to our panel, and she brings an added depth and dimension to cosplay. Previously, our panels have focused on building things, building complex things with different techniques. I'm more of a practical builder. Julia is indeed a practical builder and touches on sewing and also 3D printing and folding for that matter.
I'm well-rounded.
Yes, well-rounded. And then Joni is a little bit different. She has
bring it to life.
she's
Full circle.
very successful in the cosplay community and is an influencer on Instagram and any other platform?
All of them.
Okay.
If there's a social media, I've got
Okay.
it somewhere.
So, I'm Andy Holt. Julia, talk about yourself.
All right. My name is Julia. I go by Julia J Cosplay on all social media. I've been cosplaying for 12 years and building stuff for since then, but primarily using 3D printing for the last 8 years or so. And so I have gone from the very beginning of I knew nothing about cosplay to now building full sets of armor and everything like that. So I don't do as much of the sewing, but I have dabbled in it. But yeah, so I met Andy because I had my own Hawk Girl that I put together, and he had Hawkman, and it worked out.
I think together we have built 6 sets of Hawk people wings,
Mechanical moving wings.
of which set number 6 is here with me, along with my sidekick Scree, the hawk up there. Scree, can you say hi?
No, you don't say hi.
He doesn't.
That's right. He's a little shy.
Can you raise your wings? Thank you. Thank you, Scree. So sorry to disturb your busy day. Joni, our new addition. Please talk about yourself.
My name is Joni Brosis. I've been cosplaying for 14 years now. And I actually met Andy, I think we met at a Star Trek convention, probably my first one in 2011, maybe?
I think it was probably 2013. I think that's the first time I attended.
Okay, so 2013 was in Las Vegas, but I've been cosplaying for a long time. I started off making my own cosplays. I made this cosplay, but I've kind of fine-tuned what I actually really enjoy doing. I'm capable of doing the sewing and building, but I really thrive in painting props and painting my face. So that's where I kind of thrive there, and I love doing photo shoots as well. So I like bringing cosplays to life and showcasing people's talent and work.
Thank you, Joni. I have a little cosplay, a prop story to talk about. So, in previous panels, we had showcased some of our builds. And I talked about building our wings, building Scree, the bird that sits on my shoulder, building Canine, the dog that follows me around over here. And so I want to talk about a rush build that I did earlier this week.
Because, of course, cosplayers wait till the last minute to get things done, right?
This is pretty common.
Learn from our mistakes.
Yeah, this is pretty common. So, of those of you cosplaying, who has built something in a hurry?
Yep.
So I had a friend of mine text me, it was 3 days ago, I think, asking me if I had a phase pistol that she could borrow from Enterprise. And I was like, I have a screen used one, I'm not loaning that to you, sorry. But then, if you have a 3D printer, then you can have almost anything at your fingertips. So I went online and found some print files for a phase pistol, and I set it up, and you can see the first slide here where I set it up on the print bed. Really nice, fairly simple build, because the two halves of the weapon glued together, and then all the little pieces put on, and it's good. It's simple. It took 6 hours, I think, for it to print, which is not very bad. Actually, I'm skipping ahead because the one that I printed at first, I printed out and looked horrible. Like, it was completely inaccurate to the show. So I was like, I'm not doing that one. This is actually the second print. So I printed it out, and what I wanted to do, now this is not the print. This is actually the screen use one, which I used as a pattern to make a holster. So not only did I print it out, I wanted to make a holster. And this is a technique that I wanted to share with everybody that I kind of came up with, which works quite well for making holsters or other things that you want to make it look like it's plastic or it's leather, and you want it to be reasonably strong, but very, very quick build. So the idea is take literally a sheet of paper, pull it out of your printer, and you can make the holster out of paper and tape. And then from there, cover the whole holster in duct tape. You could even just leave it like that with the duct tape, and it would be functional. And people are going to look at you and say, wow, you have a duct tape holster, which may not be the look you're looking for. But for other things, maybe it is. But there is one more thing after this. It's very quick, very easy. You can go to Home Depot, buy a spray paint can of rubberized coating, and there's several brands that are sold with this. I did not take a picture of that can, but I think the one that I used is made by Gorilla Glue. The material is intended for you to spray maybe outdoors to waterproof something. And when it dries like flexible rubber. It is waterproof if you spray it correctly, and it's very durable, and it gives the feel of plastic or even like leather. So this is after I sprayed the holster with a can of rubberized coating that I had sitting on the shelf for too many years. It turned out bad, and it wasn't even drying, and it was bubbling up. So I threw it away. And I did it again. But every time I made the paper holster, literally 15 minutes, I was done making the paper holster. And then all I have to do is basically cover it with one layer of spray paint. Here's my second holster.
Do you test spray something first? Do you like recommend test spraying something on like a different material just to see first if it's
That would have been a smart thing.
Especially when it's not a
Just in
brush
case.
Yeah, instead of spraying it straight onto the thing that was important, test spraying it would have been smart. Yes.
We're learning here. I'll skip it.
That would have been the smart thing. But because it's a 15-minute holster, and I really didn't think that would happen, I didn't. But she is correct. Joni's correct. If it's something important that you're spray painting, and it's important and you're not easily replaceable, expensive, time-consuming, test spray it. Make sure the material is okay. Although I probably wouldn't have known until the next day that it wasn't dry.
Yeah.
And under a time crunch.
Especially since it's time crunch. Like, all right.
The whole point of this is time crunch. But yes, so this is the second duct tape holster I made. Fits nicely. And this is actually the 3D printed weapon that I made. And it fits in there. And another, on this you can see the imprint of that piece in the middle. That is a piece of metal that I just basically taped on there. And you'll see the reason I put that there in a moment. But I put that on there with just a piece of duct tape deliberately underneath everything for a purpose. There is the fully printed pistol. It is actually not very perfect. There is a paint smear there on the dark area behind the barrel where, because I had to paint it 3 colors, I had to paint it and then tape it off and paint it again. Of course, since I'm such a rush, I did not wait for the paint to fully dry, so some of it kind of peeled
I
off.
was about to say, the paint drying is kind of important, because I've done this with all the stuff that I've had to. It's a lot of different taping, a lot of different jobs. It's the worst feeling when you don't wait long enough. Like, wait for it to cure, and you peel off the tape, and then it peels off the paint.
Yes.
It's awful.
and that's not good. But fortunately, it's relatively mild, and I think, unless you kind of pointed out, it's not incredibly noticeable. So, okay, so this is a piece of black duct tape that I tore off and tore it in half, and I took this piece and I folded it into thirds on top of each other, and then at the bottom tip of the duct tape, there is a magnet. I basically enclosed a magnet at the bottom tip, and you'll see what this does in a moment. A lot of you may have already figured it out. This is the holster after I have painted it. That green masking tape toward the top is that piece that was in the previous slide. I put that on there, and I basically stapled it onto this to the holster, and I kept it from getting the paint on it. But I wanted to cover that area where it is attached. Now that serves as a strap to hold the weapon in. And it's actually not on the original holster on Enterprise, but I feel like it's kind of needed. Otherwise, you're walking along, the thing drops out of your holster, your weapon hits the ground. That'll look really good. So this is the completed holster and the weapon. I estimate that build time and paint time for the pistol itself was maybe an hour, and I think building the holster itself also maybe an hour. And then that piece of folded duct tape is the piece that's holding the weapon in place, with the magnet attaching itself to that piece of metal that's underneath all of the paint there. And it works nicely. It's strong enough to hold the weapon when you're walking around a convention floor. If you're a police officer or a Marine, do not make a holster like this and go into combat. Not a good idea. But for cosplay, it's pretty good. For looks-wise, it looks good. If you're in a costume contest where they look for the excruciating detail, and these tiny little details matter, I don't know if you want to do this. You might want to spend a little more time and effort to make it look right. But if you're in a crunch and you want something to hold your weapons, you don't have to carry it all the time. This works pretty nice.
Speaking for like photo shoots too, sometimes that gets the job done. Like you can't completely rely on Photoshop, but sometimes you can kind of fudge a little bit here and there. And so as long as it completes the costume, sometimes you just need that part, and if you can get away with it, do that. You can always perfect it later.
Yeah, unless you have to do it in post, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, so this is a technique that you can use to make lots of things, right? Make something out of paper, tape it together with duct tape, spray the rubberized material, and then this rubberized coating in several colors. I've seen black, I've seen white, a clear one, and then if you really wanted to go into different colors, there's other rubberized coatings that have different colors that you could do the similar technique. So you could make an outfit out of this. You could make accessories out of this. And it's relatively quick and easy and fairly tough, fairly strong material. It looks, if you were to look at that, you wouldn't think, oh, that's paper and duct tape and some rubberized coating. It looks legit. It looks like it's probably leather or plastic. So that is my quick build story. I'm going to pass it on to Julia. Do you want to talk about stuff you've built?
Let's go with a not quick build story. So I have been 3D printing for a while, and how many people here know about 3D printing? Does anyone have a 3D printer? All right, great. I've had a lot of things fail at like 90%. So what do? Not this helmet. So I made the helmets and stuff that we have for this. I'm talking specifically this story since it's here. It's a Power Ranger Mandalorian mashup. And so we have a whole team. The blue one, it failed at 90%. So it's like just this top section, entire top section was gone, and that's a lot of filament. That's a lot of film, that's a lot of time. It took about 3 days each to print. I had an Ender 5 Plus, it's a bigger one, but it's also much slower than the newer 3D printers out there. So what I used is a program where I could see kind of where and like judge the distance of that, and I just printed out that section. So it was a little bit of guesswork. You can also see kind of where the layers are and where how much it is. But then from that, you can use Bondo and then sand a bunch and kind of fill it in, and you can't actually really tell anymore. So for anyone who is failing at the very last bit, it's possibly an option to save it, because I know that's a lot of time and frustration. But yeah, so like when you do have time, and it's not just down to the wire, it is very good to do the test runs to see kind of like, take your time and think about how to build something, and the best way to kind of go about that. Like these wings, I think we thought about them for like 4 months before actually constructing them, just to know how to travel with them, how we put them down when we're not using them. So if you have the time, it's good to kind of think about these things and have a game plan, and then you go through, and even with a game plan, it's have a plan, follow the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan. So even when things don't exactly go like you're expecting, you still learn from what didn't actually work. And then you can keep perfecting it, keep working on it, and then you have, stuff that, even though it took a long time, it looks pretty good. So I know that hopefully that might help. If you have any questions also about like 3D building and 3D printing, you can always talk to me after the panel, and contact me on Instagram, which is Julia J Cosplay. So I'll pass it on to Joni.
So Joni, I think you gave me some pictures that I can show.
Yeah, I could talk about a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah.
This one, I actually made this whole costume, and I'm no seamstress, but for me, I cheat a lot of things. This, it's all hot glue and magic and a hope, and sometimes that's enough. And for me, I like to distract people from any flaws with some killer makeup. So sometimes, if they're looking at your face, they're not gonna look at the imperfections. So, but this one was really, really fun. I bought the prop worked out. I actually bought that for decoration for a Halloween party. But sometimes you have stuff lying around and you gotta MacGyver stuff together. This is an example too. It's just an old prop. You can get it on Amazon. But it looks really cheesy underneath. So I played your strengths. I can paint. I really love painting miniatures, and I was like, how hard can it be to paint some wood and make it look like a rock? So sometimes, I'm good at painting my face, why not try painting a sphere? So play to your strengths, and sometimes it translates really well. But yeah, this is also, it's plastic, so it's very flimsy, but it travels well, and I'm not too worried about it getting destroyed. So sometimes that's a thing where you can skimp on certain things so they're not too precious to you, like having duct tape, available. It's not so precious to you that you're terrified of bringing it to a convention. If you're competing, of course, that's where you bring out the big guns, right? But if you're just going to a convention, it might get, tousled around, it might get bumped into, and it might disintegrate. And so you don't want to take the really special stuff with you. You want to take the, this stuff, where it's not near and dear to my heart. It was quick and easy, and I'm okay with losing it. And these are some of my published works. I had the scale mail made for me, but then I added just the belt to it to make it look a little bit more, it's built on top of a bikini. So sometimes you add little things to make it look more legit, even though it's not really legit. So there's me MacGyvering again. And this one was completely made for me. I wish I had made this, but again, I'm not a seamstress and I'm not a fan of this. That part of cosplay, I can sew, but I'm not passionate about it, so I really enjoy showcasing people's work. So, sometimes you're not talented in one place, but you are in another. I'm lucky enough to look at like her somewhat, so I can do hair and makeup to kind of change that. But you can also support other people's work too. So if you don't have the talent, or get some info from these guys and try it out. We have different levels of information. Like we have intermediate, and then we also have duct tape. What do you have? What can we fit into your budget? Ask us questions and find resources to do what you want to do.
Can I add a thing to that, because that was brilliantly said? With also buying things, you can then modify things if you need to. You don't have to make it from scratch. You can take something that looks kind of like it and adapt it.
Yeah.
That was also, I wanted to say that.
It saves you money too. You know, cosplay can be really, really expensive. So, you know, spend money on the things that mean the most to you, that you want to speak to other people about and really, really, you know, gush about. And then skimp where you can, because that's okay too. This is just my Instagram. So, you know, part of cosplay is also making a business out of it as well. So, depending on where you want to go and understanding that, like, you know, when you make these huge builds, you're going to get a lot of attention. So, you know, what do you want to do with that attention? Do you just want to share your love for, you know, the cosplay or the character or the fandom, or do you want to, you know, turn it into a business and, you know, start networking with people, working with others? That's part of cosplay. You know, where do you want to go with it? What do you want to build with it? And that's another cover. I had that one made for me as well, but just to show my background, these are some of the background things. But bringing cosplays to life too is part of that. Sometimes you can, this Vampirella is a very simple cosplay. It's not the most complicated, obviously, but sometimes you can bring a really cool prop into it to make it look more, I don't know the word for it, like beefy, like more legit.
Is that a real bat, or is that?
No, so my friend Rilla over here was on a ladder. We had this bat that I got from a friend from a Halloween store, and it was really cool looking, but we had two people on ladders just holding strings and making it look like it's, you know, perched on there, but it's way more complicated than it looks in this picture.
Yes.
You know, it turns out you add some fog. That's another part of cosplay too, is take some pictures of it, you know, have some memories of something you're really proud of, especially your builds, because again, they don't last forever and sometimes they disintegrate after a while, so get some good pictures of it, you know, savor the memories.
That's something I wish I would have done from the beginning. So if anyone's, how many people here actually are looking to get into cosplay and don't actually cosplay yet? Okay, there's a few of you. So yeah, when you're gonna start, I do recommend, like, just like she said, to get at least a few photos that are like really good, because every time you like move forward through the years, they start to wear down, they start to break. You'll do a lot of repair jobs, especially if you're wearing them to multiple conventions. So I wish I would have gotten more photos before some of my stuff died.
Well, and seeing the progress too. I've seen my cosplays from way back when, and I did not know how to do makeup, and I looked like a clown a lot of the times when I wasn't trying to.
Especially that first picture.
Hey, that was on purpose. But you'll see growth too, and so it's something you can also be proud of as well. Cosplay is just a magical thing to see your growth through it, and how many things you've learned, and you know, for coming to these panels, and hopefully we teach you some things too to add to your roster of information.
Yeah, and so some of the things that I've brought, and even Julia has brought today, aren't even directly cosplay. They're cosplay adjacent, I would call it, right? Because I got an animatronic bird that sits on my shoulder that is loosely tied to cosplay, but it's just like it's a bird. The cosplay aspect is that he has that mount on my shoulder and not fall off. But otherwise, it's just an animatronic bird. It's nothing to do with cosplay. The dog that I brought with me, the canine, is Doctor Who's dog. And that thing, that is a complete custom build also. And it sits atop a remote control truck, which is highly modified. So I know, before building this, I knew almost nothing about remote control stuff. If you want to really get into remote control stuff, go visit the droid people that are here at most of the cons. These guys know their stuff. But me, I just started getting into it, so I went to a store where they sell remote control cars and trucks and airplanes, and I started talking to these guys, and I literally went in the store and asked them, I want to build a remote control dog, what should I use? And they pulled something off the shelf, use this, but change the motor. Okay, change the motor for a higher torque, lower speed motor. Okay, I did that, didn't work right. We struggled with that thing. Julia and I built the dog, and actually we built two of them.
We did.
We built two of them, and so we named the first one A Dog,
And the second one.
and the second one was another
Another
dog, because that's the way my mind works.
Actually, it was really interesting too, because the issue was not even something that we would have thought about with the actual electronics. It was too heavy that the tires couldn't actually support it. So when we were like thinking about what to do, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't like a real vehicle. Like it can be solid, and the solid would allow it to just keep rolling. So I actually 3D modeled an insert that goes into the already made
It's like a
wheels.
donut.
Like a donut.
Yeah, it's basically a big solid wheel that we kind of inserted into the rubber part of the wheel. And
I
once
peeled
we-
off the wheel, I peeled it back.
Yeah. Well, once we inserted that into the wheel, he runs great. We had so much trouble with him at first because we did not understand that the weight of the dog was crushing the tire and causing tremendous drag. So he'd drive a minute and overheat. So now I drive him all over the con. I modified him to a 2-battery setup, which reminds me I need to charge the battery. And so now he runs great. And when he runs out of one battery, I flip a switch and he switches to the other battery.
But before finding that out, it was a lot of trial and error. So if you get to a point where you're like, it's not working, don't give up. It's just different steps to try to find what actually was happening. Because we actually, I think, even tried to engineer the whole underneath side before actually going, oh, it's just the tires. So,
Yeah, so I figured it out. He works great. And another one of the things I wanted to bring up, and then I'm going to open it up to questions, is how complicated do you want your stuff to be? Most people, I think their outfits are easy to medium. Like I would consider your outfit easy. You wear it, you have a prop, but there's
Use
no...
the vacuum in it. That's how you know it's easy.
Yeah, there's no electronic devices.
No light up, no.
Yeah, your outfit is a little more complicated. You have a lot of pieces on you. And we were just sitting down to eat, and I helped Julia put her stuff back on. It took less than 5 minutes, but it took a little bit of time.
I also have a jetpack. So.
Yeah, she's got a jetpack. I had to fasten on for her, help her put the harness on her. So, and of course she's got a helmet. And
all the pieces were difficult to like actually maneuver on, and it was each like, how much work do you want to get into actually putting on your outfit?
And then there's me. So on my outfit, I have wings that articulate. So that is one dedicated remote control. I have an animatronic bird on my shoulder. That is another dedicated remote control. That controller for the bird is here on my mace. The controller for the wings sits on a harness on the palm of my left hand. And then I'm driving a remote control dog the whole time, which is this device, which I've also modified so I can drive him with one hand, all the while trying to walk through a convention and not run into people and not having the dog bite anybody. So, and then with that, let's go ahead and open up the questions. We're about halfway through the panel, and we'll see. Does anybody have any questions about perhaps how to build something that you think we might be able to help? Questions about social media, questions about anything that we have built.